While Yu-Gi-Oh is known for its variety of designs, I mean, we have everything from cute animals with Melfies to eldritch abominations. But sometimes I feel like Konami just looks up the word cool in a dictionary and goes with whatever was pictured. Case in point, the Rokket/Borrel archetype. What do people find cool? Oh, I don't know, dragons? Guns? Well then just smash them together. And honestly, it did kind of work. Borrelend Dragon is the absolute culmination of this design philosophy. Not only does it keep the gun plus dragon thing, but it triples it. And also the guns are the dragon's mouths, just to make it that little bit extra. But then it even keeps it up with its stats. It's a Link 5, which is pretty rare, and one-ups the other big boys like Borrels Dragon, just to show you that this one really means business. Then you look at its first few lines of text. It can't be destroyed by battle or card effect, and can't be targeted with monster effects. This combines the protection of all other 3 Borrel Link 4s, which are Borreload, Borrel Sword, and yes, there's the forgettable third one, Borrel Guard. While definitely not invincible, it will take some planning to remove this. Or just a Zeus. Then it has 3500 attack, and it can attack every one of your opponent's monsters just as a little extra. That's probably a board clear by itself, but if you manage to summon this while going second, your opponent has probably lost already. But to make absolutely sure of that, we then get to its main effect. As a quick effect, it can target an effect monster on the field, and a rocket in the graveyard. It negates the effect of the monster on the field, and as for the rocket, it probably banishes it to give it a bit of a downside, right? Nope, it just special summons it with no restrictions, giving you a plus in the process. Oh yeah, and your opponent can't even respond to this card's effect, being what people like to call a spell speed 4. Basically, if you haven't figured it out yet, I think this card's pretty neat. So I built a deck about turboing it out. Now I say that, but as we all know, that basically just means it's a Dragon Link deck. What differentiates this from the last one though, is that instead of focusing on the different Borrels like the Ritual and the Fusion one, this one doubles down on getting out as many materials as possible to make a Borrelend Dragon, and then extend as much as possible from there onwards. Besides Borrelend, the deck didn't get too many new tools to play with since last time, but it did get Destrudo unbanned and back to 1. It allows for a few cool things, notably being a really good discard and also getting you a few more synchro routes. It's basically just nice for the deck to have. Also, for players more on a budget, Starliege Seyfert's reprint cuts down the deck by almost like €45, so that also helps the deck be a lot more affordable. But that's about all there is to say. It's Dragon Links, but cooler. Let's look at the deck. So here it is. It's a deck with a few options, which I'll mention when we get to them. Also, some of the more expensive cards, like Baron, are pretty optional, so don't get too put off by the apparent price of the deck. Let's start with the rockets. You want to run 3 Tracer, 3 Silver Rocket, 3 Rocket Caliber, 3 Rocket Synchron, and then 1 Anisth Rocket Dragon. You want a lot of them to make full use of their field spell to try and summon 2 at once as often as possible. Tracer's obviously the best, almost always being a free Borreload Savage Dragon, and Silver's there to be the level 4 non-tuner of choice. Caliber is a nice extender, and is even better as Borrelend around. If it's still in your hand after making the Link 5, it can summon itself to Link Point, and then, if you're going first, Borrelend can negate Caliber's effects to then summon back a Silver Rocket, making a Borreload Savage Dragon. Synchron's a great normal summon to try and save for as long as possible, and combos great with Noctovision or Absoluta Dragon. Finally, Anisth Rocket Dragon is a level 1 non-tuner, which has some niche use occasionally, especially with Destrudo. Next we have our Dragon support. I decided to run 3 of both Absoluta and Noctovision Dragon, which admittedly it's more than a lot of people run, but they're just so good to draw that you want to see them as often as possible. Then Levianeer is a fun extender that can rip a card from your opponent's hand, and then help you make a Hope Harbinger more easily. Then forget that Seyfert can add it back to your hand if you've discarded it. Destrudo is both an extra material and a great tuner, at the very least giving you a Dawn Dragster for a spell negate to complement Borrelend's monster negate. Then of course we have the Chaos Dragon package, which is very necessary to generate the tons of advantage this deck is known for. Seyfert's reprint is great for this deck, letting you search the Chaos Dragons to start your combos, at the cost of usually needing your normal summon. Then we do run 3 Ash Blossoms. Now this build is a lot more combo focused, running tons of extenders to try and power through interruption, but it definitely could run a few more hand traps if you wanted to. If you want to see a less combo oriented build that fits a lot more hand traps, I'll put a list up on my Patreon if you're interested. For the spells, nothing too fancy. 3 Chaos Space for the ridiculous advantage it generates, 3 Quick Launch for the ridiculous advantage that it generates, and then 3 World Legacy Guard Dragon for, well, you get the idea. Don't forget that Guard Dragon basically turns Pisty into 3 link materials. Bring something back was the spell, then link it into Pisty, move it to the side so that its effect is live, and then revive Romulus, and now you're over halfway there to a Borrelend Dragon. Finally, we have the 2 field spells, that is sort of mandatory bricks that the deck needs to run properly. For the extra deck, it's nothing too surprising for a Dragon Link deck. It's mostly links with a few synchros that we make with the powerful tuners. Obviously we run Borrelend, with a Borrel Sword as a backup if you can't quite make it while going second. Then we run Romulus, Quad Borrel, Striker and Pisty, which are the usual combo pieces you'll be using to make your plays in Link Climb, with Spheres being an extra interruption that you need to commit to early if you want to make it. Appaloosa is actually surprisingly possible to have on your end board alongside a Borrelend, and its link arrows help some of your more trickier combos become more lenient. Finally, Hulk can link climb while getting a Rocket Synchron out of your deck, but it's pretty optional in this build, so feel free to skip it. Now for our synchros, the most reliable is Borreload Savage Dragon, being very easy to make and then attach a link 2 monster to it. However, Chaos Ruler is also very good in this deck, milling and searching, before also being a material either for a Hope Harbinger, or a Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss together with a Rocket Synchron. Dawn Dragster is piercing damage on top of a spell and trap negate, and is a free summon thanks to Destrudo. Then Baron is possible by targeting a level 1 monster with Destrudo, and then having a level 4 non-tuner on the field. It doesn't actually come up too often though, so feel free to skip it if you don't already have one. Finally, we have more spell negates in the form of Hope Harbinger, and it's a good use for your Levianeer and Chaos Ruler. Now with all the Albas hype around, I considered a small Albas engine to make your spheres way more powerful. While possible, it does require some sacrifices, especially in the extra deck, so I opted against it, but again, I'll upload a version that does allow for Albas spheres combos on my Patreon as a bonus. So that will do for the deck, but as Dragon Link players love to say, it's a very complicated deck to play, and so no deck profile would be complete without some test hands to show you what it's capable of. So let's move on to those now. So now I'll be showing you 4 test hands that show a variety of ways that this deck can be played. But first, if you've been enjoying this video so far, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. This hand has Seyfert as our only real option, since we'll want to save Quick Launch for later whenever possible. Normal summons Seyfert for Collapse Serpent, who summons itself while triggering Noctovision. Link up going through Striker Dragon to end on a Romulus, searching both field spells and then getting a draw. Then summon Wyverbuster, before discarding Destrudo to send an Absoluta Dragon, searching a Tracer. Use Destrudo to get another material, and then just make a 3 material Appaloosa. Boot Sector can now get both rockets onto the field before being destroyed to search another rocket. Thanks to Appaloosa, Pisty is already live, able to revive Romulus, and with those make a Borrelend Dragon. It's now easy to summon a Silver Rocket with Quick Launch, then negate its effects with Borrelend to get back the Tracer, and make a Borreload Savage Dragon with 2 negates, ending on an Omni Negate, 3 Monster Negates from Appaloosa, and Borrelend Spell Speed 4 Negate, as well as an Ash Blossom. This second hand starts with Boot Sector Launch, which isn't great, but also it has 2 rockets, so we can work with it. In this situation, just use Boot Sector to summon both rockets, and then Synchro summon a Chaos Ruler, gambling on good mills. We get a Seyfert while milling some rockets and a Chaos Space. Seyfert starts the Dragon combo line, but we go straight into Spheres using the Chaos Ruler as well. We then make a Pisty, reviving Tracer, and then we move Pisty to revive a Silver Rocket. Chaos Ruler then banishes to revive itself, and we can now trigger the Chaos Space to draw another card, which is just a Chaos Space. We then make a Romulus with Chaos Ruler and Pisty, searching Ravine, and then we blur up one field spell to extend with Tracer before playing the other, discarding to spare Chaos Space. That sends Destrudo, who summons itself back to give us enough materials for a Borrelend, which can negate Tracer's effects to revive Silver Rocket, giving us the Borreload Savage Dragon. It's a similar board to last time, including the Ash Blossom in the hand, but it trades Appaloosa's effect for Spheres as bounce and a summon. This third hand finally starts with a Chaos Space, which is almost always going to be a good hand. Use it to discard a Silver Rocket to start the combo with a Wyverbuster. After searching Boot Sector launch, we can banish Chaos Space for a draw of Silver Rocket. Quick launch into a Tracer to Synchro Summon a Chaos Ruler, getting back Wyverbuster. That adds Safer while triggering Absoluta to add another Tracer to hand. Boot Sector now summons 2 Rockets, and with the other 2 monsters we make a Romulus. Since we haven't normal summoned yet, we can summon Safert and discard 2 level 4 Rockets to search a Levianeer. Chaos Ruler revives itself, and then Levianeer summons itself while shuffling a card back from your opponent's hand. With our other monsters, we can make a Borrelend, who negates Levianeer's already used effects to revive a Rocket Tracer. Make a Hope Harbinger with your level 8, and then destroy Boot Sector launch for a Rocket Synchron, since all Silver Rockets are either banished or in the graveyard. That's where Rokket Borrel comes in handy. You can make it, then discard, and then send itself to bring back a Tracer and a Silver Rocket, letting you make the Borreload Savage Dragon at last. Finally, while I did call this deck Borrelend Turbo, it's not optimal to make it with every single hand, so I thought I'd show off a hand that doesn't actually make it. Start with Synchron into Striker for a Boot Sector, which we revive with Guard Dragon to make a Romulus. That searches Ravine, which discards a Levianeer to send an Absoluta, searching Silver Rocket. Boot Sector can now summon both of those for a Chaos Ruler, which adds Collapse Serpent while milling Safert and Destrudo. Safert can now banish itself to add back Levianeer, before summoning a Collapse Serpent, drawing an Ash Blossom with the Chaos Space. Destrudo revives itself, Levianeer banishes to summon and hand drip, and then we can make a 3 material Appaloosa while adding back Wyverbuster, who summons itself to make a Dawn Dragster with Destrudo. Chaos Ruler revives itself, and then the level 8s make a Hope Harbinger, and then the quick launch is once again a 1-card Borreload Savage Dragon using Tracer's effect, removing the Guard Dragon in preference since Boot Sector is nice recovery. We then end on an Omni Negate, a Spell Negate, a Spell and Trap Negate, 3 monster negates from Appaloosa, and then once again an Ash Blossom. So what did you think? Will you be picking up a Borrelend Dragon to make your Dragon Link deck even stronger? Tell me in the comments below, and while you're down there, don't forget to like and subscribe. Special thanks to my tier 2 patrons Jason Murat and Violet Rain. The link to that is in the description. Thanks for watching!